Oh, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Fighters Final here on the edge of, it's a Rap Sports Network, which your boy Matty B. Wow, I can't believe I said that. It's a Rap Sports Network, which your boy Matty B on the call. Fun in sunny San Diego. Man, this team stinks on the West Coast, man. Stinks. Phillies tonight, gut-wrenching. Well, listen, let's be fair. It was a very entertaining game. It was very entertaining. It was back and forth between two perennial teams that should be kind of in this mix at the end. It was fun, but it was too familiar for Phillies fans, especially for me, as the Phillies fell tonight 5-4 in a game that went back and forth. Zach Wheeler was not Zach Wheeler tonight. Labored a bit in this game. Let's break down some of the numbers for Zach Wheeler on the day. 6 innings pitched for Wheeler tonight. 6 hits, 4 runs. They were earned, a walk, 6 strikeouts, 2 home runs. The Jackson Merle home runs. That guy was all over the place tonight. But here's a telling stat about Zach Wheeler. 105 pitches through 6 games. Again, you're never going to sell me on any sort of quality start when you're throwing over 100 pitches through 6 innings. We can also get into the Menage, Riddle, Enigma. That is the Phillies bullpen tonight, as they're going to once again receive a lot of the angst from Phillies fans, and yes, rightfully so. Banks half an inning, 2 hits, a run. It was earned, 1 strikeout. Romano a half an inning. Banks was a third of an inning. Romano was a half an inning with a strikeout. Strom an inning and 2 strikeouts. But I'm not hanging this one on the Phillies bullpen. And I'm not even going to hang it on Zach Wheeler. I'm not hanging this loss on Zach Wheeler. I mean, when you're battling a quality team like the San Diego Padres, a playoff caliber team, you got to come through with the offense, man. It's got to be the offense. And once again, the Phillies offense struggles to find that opportunity, that big hit. 3 for 13 tonight with runners in scoring position. I am so tired of talking about RISP. I am so goddamn tired. I know I come out on the side of the coin where I want this team to upgrade offensively in the trade deadline. I don't care about the pitching. I honestly don't. I think they got enough, even with the bullpen as is. But I just want to stop talking about RISP. So I want this team to upgrade offensively. I want them to put all their damn Easter eggs in the same offensive basket. 3 for 13 tonight. Real Muto, not Real Muto, who grounded Harper and Kepler grounding out into double plays, as well as yet another anemic offensive battle. The Phillies go up 2-0. They're down 3-2. They go up 4-3, and then they're down. They're down and they're out, and it's over. It's too much of the go-to-sleep offense. I just don't think this is a World Series offense. It's not. These are World Series winning players, but they're not performing the way they're supposed to perform. And it's no longer, that's baseball, everybody. It's no longer that. Because now we're talking 3 seasons. So you can hem and haw, go up and down on me all day long about how badly the bullpen is and how ineffective some of these relievers are. The buffoon manager, I agree with everything you're saying, but until they get serious about changing the offense and fixing the offense and getting some of these guys out of here, not because they stink, but because they are too much of the same player, and get a little bit more variety here of different types of hitters, until they commit to that, we are not winning a World Series. I don't care who you got out in the bullpen. I don't care if you assemble the all-time bullpen in Major League Baseball history. They're not winning They're not winning a World Series with this offense. It's just not happening. The homers can be lying up on the bridge all they want and be jumping off, and they can tell me I'm a lunatic all you want as well. But I don't know how much more even a homer needs to see from this offense to know that they're just not working together. It hasn't meshed, and I don't think it will. It's been 3 seasons. When are we waiting for the mesh to mesh? Phillies lose 5-4. Drop the series to the San Diego Padres. Now they'll try, like a Dickens, to salvage the series tomorrow right before the All-Star break. Interesting pitching matchup. Chris Sanchez and Nick Pivetta going at it. For all well, let's call you losers. I don't want to call you losers who think that the Phillies should just willy-nilly trade away prospects. Nick Pivetta was a prospect at one time, gave up on him. Now he's having a career year. Now, I'm not saying Nick Pivetta is the gold standard of holding on to prospects, but boy, we had Nick Pivetta. And again, I was in favor of hauling him out of here. That guy couldn't get anything over the plate 5 years ago, but he figured it out. Sometimes it takes him a little longer. But Pivetta will go having a career year, and he'll be opposed by Chris Sanchez tomorrow as the Phillies will look to salvage the series. Looking more like 2012 than 2022. 2.5 games away from being in the outside looking in. Don't ignore it. Steve, you're preaching to the proverbial here, man. I agree. I think of course, I'm one of the only ones who stand up on the hill. And I've always said it from the very beginning that this offense is not right. Again, we can talk up and down the pike all day long about the bullpen, and I agree. The bullpen is not optimal, especially without the roles. And again, these idiot fans out there that believe that things are going to get solved with bringing in a closer. Are you not watching the team? Do you not know who's running the team? They don't use a bullpen by roles. It's by analytic and matchups. So even if we brought in a closer, even if we got Dennis Eckersley in his heyday, Trevor Hoffman in his heyday, Brad Lidge in his heyday, Mitch Williams before touch them all, Joe. Even if we assembled that bullpen, it would be a mishmash of who's pitching in the 6th inning, 7th inning, 8th inning, and 9th inning every day because there's no roles for anybody. So the bullpen problem will persist through this season, regardless of who is brought here. So to me, a bullpen arm at this stage of the game, and if I can significantly upgrade the offense, which I also believe you cannot do in season, I would definitely go for the offense over the bullpen. But you're right, Steve. You're right. Get through tomorrow's game, and let's hope Thompson is given his walking papers to go home to Toronto, and he can take Romano with him. This team's manager couldn't substitute Marsh. Listen, there's a lot of things that I can blame Rob Thompson for, but there's some things I can't. Like, why is Brandon Marsh still on this baseball? It's not Rob Thompson's decision, ultimately. You know that, right, Hubert? Brandon Marsh's presence on the Phillies has got nothing to do with Rob Thompson. It's got everything to do with Dave Dombrowski, right? Not admitting that he was wrong by trading away Logan O'Hoppe for this fool, right? But you're right. But when you got to get it done, and you don't have all the pieces, you got to throw together whatever pieces you got, and hopefully it works out. But you're right. Somebody answered me why the Brandon Marsh experiment is still chugging along here, and just this team with its blown quality pitching ratio ratcheting upward to 25% has zero chance of the playoffs. Starting pitching is tired. They hate the manager, and there's no leadership. Is that what Schwarber said? What? Is that a quote? I disagree. I think the Phillies will make the playoffs. I'm going to tell you what, if they don't make the playoffs, if they spiral over the next 100 or next 50 some odd games, and they don't make the playoffs, man, or 70 games, how many games are left, whatever it is. And if they don't make, and they fall out of playoff contention, it's going to be a bad summer in Philadelphia. The tail end of this summer is going to be terrible. I think they make the playoffs. Going to the All-Star game to beg his agent to get out of Philly. He doesn't want to lead the incompetence in management. Problem is Rob Thompson. Disagree. It's not Rob Thompson. He's not the solution, but Rob Thompson's not the problem. Again, I want to remind Hubert and everybody else, there's this list that Matty B has acquired. It's the top priorities and the top issues of this baseball team. Rob Thompson is actually down here towards the bottom of that. He's on the list, yes. But if I'm asking, do I upgrade the offense? Do I upgrade Rob Thompson? What am I doing first? I'm going with the offense. Rob Thompson, yes, is he a buffoon? Is he too driven by analytics? Does he have a pulse for this game? I don't even know if he has a pulse, let alone for baseball. You're right. But once again, when you're hurting out Brandon Marsh and Yohan Rojas and Nick Castellanos, who had one of the most uncomfortable at-bats I've ever seen in my life last night in that bases loaded situation in the 8th inning with one out. Nick Castellanos looked like he didn't know what he was doing up there. It was one of the most uncomfortable at-bats I've ever seen. But when you have that to work with, I don't know who could succeed with that, Hubert. I don't know who could succeed with that. This team is not properly assembled. I'm not bagging on the players. The players are very good separately, apart, on different teams, doing different things. But when you put them all together here on this team, it's too many of the same offensive type of player, and it's not going to get it done. It's just not. And how much more evidence do we need to see of that? It's just very frustrating. Hello, Mickey Delaney. How are you? Where the podcast? Wow. Where the podcast? Where? Wait 3 minutes. It'll be here. Yeah, you guys must have been talking since I come on the air. All right. Well, I hope I didn't make you wait long. And then you guys are still having a conversation amongst yourselves. Matty B is live on the West Coast, so stay in your lane. Matty B, I live on the West Coast, so stay in your lane. What's the lane I'm supposed to stay in? The other day, Wheeler was excited to start the All-Star game when Skeens was announced as a starter. He quit the team. Barbara, I know there's a big story going on about that. Whatever, man. The All-Star game is. I used to love the All-Star game. It was one of the more fun things of my summer as a kid. Something's happened to the All-Star game over the last 20 years that if we're looking to get Wheeler some time off, so be it. He made it. He made it. Matty, is the front runner Bryce Harper? Is he he's a serious problem? Yeah. I don't want to say it's Harper. I don't want to say it's Castellanos. I don't want to say it's JT. I don't want to say it's Kepler. I don't want to say it's Bohm, who, by the way, is now hurt. I don't want to say it's Turner. I don't want to point out individuals, Barbara, because I don't think it is individuals. It's them as a collective group. They just don't work well together. And it's not because, of course, in my opinion, it's not because they don't know how to work together. They just can't work together because they're too similar of player. There's too many of the same type of player in this lineup. And that's why you get the feast and the famine all the time, is because nobody has another gear to go into. It's all the same gear. It's either I'm going to hit a home run or I'm going to have one of the most uncomfortable bats I've ever witnessed in my life last night with Nick Castellanos in the top of the 8th inning with the bases loaded, 1 out. That was a disaster of an at-bat. He looked so unsure of himself. He looked like he had never been put in that situation before. And when they threw something out and away, he was swinging all the way. It was that pitch could have been in the stands. He would have been up there swinging at it. He was hell-bent on winning that game or putting the Phillies up by 2 instead of just doing what he had to do and shoot a damn fly ball into left field or right field. I don't even care in center, anywhere in the outfield, and give somebody an opportunity to tag up and score. It was the most uncomfortable at bat I've ever seen, but that is what this team is. And they're comprised of all the same type of hitter. So am I going to sit here and want to single out Bryce Harper? No. Is he part of the problem? Yes. Is he salvageable? Well, I hope he is, because we're stuck with his ass for 6 more years. If you assemble different players around Bryce Harper, would there be a different result? Would the pressure be off of him? Would people protect him? If you had a couple more slash and dash contact type guys in your lineup, I don't know. But it ain't working with the same type of hitter. So I guess we have to try the other side. The Phillies team is is stale. It's the same thing over and over with the same players. You better be careful, Barbara. The homers are listening, Barbara, and they're writing people's names down. They're writing the disloyal people's names down. But you're right. It is the same thing over and over and over again. Season by season by season, game by game by game, at bat by at bat. It's the same damn thing. So what do? Do you trade for Cedric Mullins or Bruxton or the Stephen Kwan, Emmanuel Clase thing? Are we going to trade for them guys because Stephen Kwan's going to come into this lineup and all of a sudden things are going to change? I'm not saying he's not a bad player. He's a decent player. But is he going to change the offensive makeup of this team? No. Hell, you don't even know where to bat him because now you don't want to mess with the damn Trey Turner leadoff juju. So where do you bat Kwan? Oh, let Mr. Analytics handle that and then screw Stephen Kwan all up. And then bringing in the closer, Class A. That's great. There's a reason why these players are being rumored to be being traded. Cleveland is not out of this by any stretch of the mind. They're like 4 games out of the wild card. So why are they so enamored with moving on from 2 of their more solid players and under team control at reasonable money? Why do you think Cleveland would be potentially entertaining moving these 2 on? I don't know. Class A is not pitching anywhere like he pitched last season, and nowhere near it. And Stephen Kwan, what's going on there? Why is that such a hot rumor? And why would a team like Cleveland, who's not out of this by any stretch of the imagination, want to think about moving off of players like that for what the piddly offer we're going to give them? So please don't let these rumors go to your heads, because I don't think they're grounded in reality at all. I don't want the closer from Cleveland, as it will be a waste of talent. Michael, I just kind of went over that. Phillies need everyday players in left, center, and second base. Left, center, right, second, and third. Don't forget third and second, or third and right field too. The Phillies in the second half better hope Wheeler's arm doesn't get tired or Rangers' back acts up and Schwarber stays healthy or this team was in trouble. So again, let's be correct. The second half is well underway. 13 games into the second half, we are. But you're right. There's a whole bunch of games left. And again, tonight's was very entertaining. It had almost a playoff-like vibe to it. I enjoyed it, but it was madly frustrating to watch this team yet again stumble and bumble its way around, not being able to get the big 3 for 13 RISP. I am so goddamn tired of talking about RISP. Man, I'm so tired of it. They won't play 500 out from here with catastrophic clubhouse. But listen, Hubert, they've been playing at 500 basically all season, with the exception of the month of May. The month of May, they were 19-9. Other than that, they've been at 500 or slightly above. And right now, there are, I think, 2 games under 500 for the month of July. So it's not such a far-fetched idea to think that they're going to slip, because they've been slipping all season with the exception of the month of May. Homers don't want you to know that, by the way, Hubert. They want to keep you in the dark. They don't want you to know that this team has been essentially a 500 team all year with the exception of 1 month. They don't want you to know that, but you need to turn the lights on, man. Turn them lights on. Speaking of the lights, welcome back to the Fighting's Final. It's great to be back, by the way. And that's a very rare loss for me when I host this show. 8th loss of the year now. But make sure you're tuned in here to the network. Tomorrow, we got you with the PM and the AM, but apparently it's just going to be the P, or not the P, the M in the AM, as Mike Laros hosting on his own tomorrow, as Pat, I think, is still on vacation, and Al didn't pay his light bill. And they turned off his electricity or something. I don't know. Something's going on with his power. So Mike Laro will be taking you solo tomorrow through the PM and the AM program. And then I'll be with you again. You got double duty with me, or double dose of me tomorrow night. I will be back with the Fighting's Final somewhere in the 7 o'clock area after the game's over. There will be no final word tomorrow night, as I have nighttime postgame duty. So no final word, but I will be back for the postgame tomorrow evening. And then it's on to the All-Star break. And who knows what after that. But make sure you're checking back regularly for updates and information and all that great stuff. All right, let's get back to this game. Let's go inside of the numbers. The Phillies on the day, 4 runs on 9 hits, no errors. The Padres, 5 hits on 8 hits, 2 errors. So the Phillies lost to a team that's committed 2 errors in the same game. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Jackson Merrill, how can you not give offensive standout game honors to this guy? What was he on the day? He was 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs, and 2 homers, as he basically willed the Padres over the Phillies. They kept pretty much everybody at bay. I mean, you had a couple of 1 for 4s mixed into Jackson Merrill's 2 for 4, but apparently Jackson Merrill's all that they needed as they beat the Phillies. Offensively for the Phillies, the big night when I have to go to JT Realmuto, 3 for 4 with an RBI. Was on base just pretty much every time you turn around, but nobody behind him could do anything for him. Nobody in front of him could do anything for him, as the Phillies went a putrid 3 for 13 with runners in scoring position. They left 8 on base throughout the game. Kepler and Harper grounding into double plays in this game. The injury to Alec Boehm to the ribs, hit by pitch. We'll see what that is. That's one of them nagging injuries that all you can do is time if it's not broken. Hopefully it's not broken. So Otto Kemp will probably get a lot more extended time at third base starting in the second half, or at post All-Star break, I should say. Bryce Harper did steal a base in this game. The Padres were 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position, so they maximized the majority of their opportunities with runners in scoring position. They left 5 on base, and they had nobody grounding out into double plays. Pitching, I already kind of went over Zach Wheeler. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 runs. They were earned, a walk, 6 strikeouts, and 2 home runs, 105 pitches, and a not very Zach Wheeler-esque game. He was Zach Wheeler, but he wasn't Zach Wheeler. And you'll never kind of get me to agree that 105 pitches through 6 innings is anything effective. It's not effective. And then the beleaguered Phillies bullpen followed suit. We went through their numbers as well. Hugh Darvish, 4.5 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. This is definitely a playoff matchup here between starting pitchers and teams. And Darvish was not really on either, but he was a little bit more on. Well, I think he was less on than Wheeler. Darvish struggled. Hoeing, Peralta, Morgan, Matsui, and Estrada coming on to wheel the Padres to their victory. Scoring summary: Nick Castellanos would get on with knocking the first run by reaching on an infield single, but then forcing Boehm to score on a throwing error by the pitcher. Castellanos advanced to second as well in the play. 1-0 Phillies. JT Realmuto would double in Castellanos a little bit later to make it 2-0 Phillies. So we got something working in the second inning. But that would be erased in the bottom of the second as Jackson Merrill would hit his first of 2 home runs, a 2-run shot, tying things up at 2. Then Maldonado would knock in Jake Cronenworth to make it 3-2 Padres. Phillies would get it knotted up and take the lead, actually, in the 5th, with Sosa knocking in Kepler and Marsh moving Harper to second. But everybody was stranded. Nobody went anywhere after that, as the Phillies, once again, cannot figure out how to drive runners in. Jackson Merrill, his second home run of the night, to tie things up in the 6th, and then Manny Machado with the sac fly to knock in Fernando Tatis to make it 5-4, and that's all that the beleaguered, depleted San Diego Padre bullpen gave up, as the Phillies could not find their way through, and they lost tonight 5-4, thus losing the series. And hopefully they can figure something out and get at least goddamn one of these wins. Well, hopefully they can get off into the All-Star break on a positive note. So, well, where am I at here? Oh, there we go. They won't play 500 out here for the catastrophic clubhouse divide. Potentially, Maddie, do you think Otto Kemp has any trade value in a package to acquire MLB players? I do not. Well, yeah, of course he does. Everybody's got value, because you could also get it, mix up the trade and the cash considerations and that dreaded player to be named later. Everybody has value, Barbara. The problem is the value that we want in return does not match what we're giving. We want someone to come in here and totally transform this offense. Who is that going to be? Is Stephen Kwan that guy? Is he the best offensive or Geron from the Red Sox? Why do you think the Red Sox want to move on from him? I mean, again, everyone's looking at everyone else's trash like it's our treasure. I get that's how you got to do it, but as far as Otto Kemp, yeah, you can give something in return for him. Nothing that's going to move the needle to a World Series. You're not trading Otto Kemp for Man Ram like it's 08. Yeah, it ain't happening. Everyone's got value. But for what the Phillies need, Barbara, and I think the Phillies need, it's more than one player. It's more than one offensive player that this team needs to be solid World Series contenders. You watched the Phillies season play out in a nutshell in this game tonight. You watched the, at times, lockdown starting pitching. You saw at times what the offense can do when it's humming. Then you saw the inconsistency of the offense as it kind of went into the doldrums. And then you saw the problems with the bullpen manifest themselves. And then you saw the offense just sputter out. Tonight's game was the Phillies season in a nutshell. If you want to know what the 2025 Phillies are, just watch this game again, and it'll give you everything that they are in a nutshell. And that's what scares me, because it's the same MO game after game. It's the same way they're winning. It's the same way they're losing. There is no creativity, and someone said it earlier. It's a stale team. There's quality players on this team. There's people that can go to other teams and help them win, but they're not helping us win. And it's not happening, and it hasn't happened. And you know what? All the talk about moving off of, as you mentioned, Otto Kemp. Otto Kemp's not going to be the answer. The answer is coming from the form of higher level prospects, or the answer is coming in the form of current players on this roster that they could somehow try to move. I don't get what fantasy land these homers live in, where they think we're just going to snap our fingers. And what is Stephen Kwan going to do when he gets here? One, we're not going to bat him in the proper spot. And I don't think they should, because Trey Turner, you don't want to mess with that. So he's going to be batting either second or ninth or somewhere in that area, and it might screw his rods and cones all up. Emmanuel Clase is going to come here and do what? He's going to pitch in the 6th inning. He's going to pitch in the 7th inning. He's going to bring Rob Thompson coffee in between doubleheader games. What do you think he's going to do while he's here? He will not close consistently. There's a newsflash. I'm breaking it right here. I am breaking a newsflash to every Homer Phillies fan. Must say Eagles. Not there yet. Phillies fan out there. Any closer that this team brings in, any closer, Class A or otherwise, is not going to be the closer. No. They are going to be the back end of the bullpen. The high, not the high velocity, the high leverage guy. And that guy could pitch in the 7th inning. That guy could pitch in the 6th inning. That guy can pitch in the 9th inning. Rob Thompson has no rhyme or reason of what he's doing with the bullpen. Am I one of the only ones who see that? Is that falling deaf and dumb on the ears and eyes of the homers out there? All this clattering about bringing me a closer to do what? To pitch in the 6th inning? It's a philosophical problem, and it's a personnel problem. It's a mess, Barbara. It's an absolute mess. Castellanos is second, and Stott up today's game. And common sense says bunt the ball to move Castellanos to third. But again, analytics went out. Michael Papernick, you're not breaking any news, man. And who's the real fools here, man? I think it's us. Constantly are coming back for more of this stuff. Go look at Harper and Trout's stats and accolades. They're basically like twins with neither winning a world title. Listen, I'm not bagging on Harper, man. No. A baseball team with Bryce Harper on it is a better baseball team without him on it. I will give you that. But you got to assemble the right players around him. You got to put a team around him. Bryce Harper cannot carry a team. He's not Aaron Judge. He's not that type of guy. He's a very good player. He's a face of the league. I'll take him. He's already here. But you just got to do a better job of assembling a team around him that does not necessarily mirror him. And that's what we have here. All-star slump. Too many players from all from Philly. It's a clear statement. The voters hate. Oh, come on, man. You ain't going to get me going down that road. Come on. Guess who tolerates it? I would not. I would cut Rob some slack, but if the MF is asleep and it's his day off thing that broke the club rule. Again, don't take my placement of Rob Thompson down low on my priority list or my problem list as a admission that I'm complicit here. Absolutely not. If they could move off of Rob Thompson tomorrow, have at it. But there's got to be more coming. There's got to be more. There's more change that has to happen. It's not going to magically. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there, and maybe I'm one or was one, that thought if the Phillies came out slow this year, if they struggled out of the gate, and they pulled a 2022 Joe Girardi type thing where they fired Thompson, and then we bring in another voice, and all of a sudden they would galvanize themselves around that voice and things would be good. Maybe I was thinking that could happen too, but I don't know if a new voice is coming here to do anything other than what is here. I don't know what you can do right now. I'm telling you guys, this team is flawed. And it's not the Homer flawed, for the definition of the word flawed. It's flawed to a point where they're not going to win as they are right now. And the quicker Phillies management wraps their heads around this, the quicker the Phillies fan base wraps their heads around this, the quicker we all can move on from this and they can make legitimate change. Now, that change is not coming in the next 2 weeks. Is there change coming in the next 2 weeks? Yeah. But it's not the change that's going to push us over the finish line for a World Series, unless they're trading about 7 players away and getting 7 new ones back. Then I'd say yes, there could be that change. This team will not turn the corner until they decide to start making some serious changes with this organization. And everything this year is going to be a very frustrating, thank you, sir, may I have another type of exercise. Some hard decisions have to be made this coming off season. Let's hope they make the right moves. Yeah, Barbara, God, you're reading my mind. That's weird. Win or lose in the playoffs, the dummy upstairs, Dombrowski will probably give Robbie another. Don't give him that idea. Darvish's second game since coming back from the elbow injury. Yeah, and he kind of he didn't pitch well. Also, only a second game. Yeah, he didn't pitch well. Neither did Zach Wheeler, and I don't have quite the excuse for Zach Wheeler like that. But fire, yeah. Hubert and Hubert Gaffney Racing Stables LLC's perfect world. What does this team look like without Rob Thompson? Okay, now actually let me back up. You fire Rob Thompson, who are you bringing here? Are you going to take somebody off the street with 70 some odd games left to go in the season and say, here you go, figure it out? Are you going to hire one of Rob's flunkies? Because if you hire one of Rob's flunkies, because that's probably what they do, it's the same thing than having Rob Thompson here, right? I mean, I'm asking, what do you think? Like, I agree. Firing Rob Thompson is definitely on my list, but it's not up here. It's not in season right now. We've moved past that point. We could have done that back in late May and early June, but coming off of a 19-9 May, you're not going to fire the manager. But you can fire Rob Thompson. To me, I've moved past that point of the season. We're on to other more significant targets. Off season, 100%. First day, he's gone. Don Mattingly is our new manager, or somebody along those lines. Yeah, I want to go back to old baseball. I want an older baseball guy. I want a guy that's been around in the other world of baseball. I don't want any more of these new types managers or these reclamation project guys or these first timers. No, we need an actual baseball guy. And I thought Girardi was that guy. He wasn't, but I still think the secret sauce lies with a manager like that. But I don't want another, let's try this guy out type manager. No, I want someone that's got established, in the back of the day type stuff going on. Estevez made the All-Star team the year before he got here and the year after he left. That's a good point. I'm bagging on Harper. He hasn't hit 100 plus RBIs in 6 years and no more than 87 RBIs, all unacceptable to the showman. I listen again. Has he been largely missed the expectation? Yeah, I don't think he's lived up to the hype. Absolutely not. Or the potential. No, I agree with you. But is there something to be said about what's been around him and what this team was, what the supporting cast has been, right? Maybe there is something to that. I don't know. Please, again, don't take this as me advocating that Harper's working out. I'm not. Let's go Mets. Yeah. You guys can't help us. Yeah, right now we can't. Boa temporarily fine. Listen, I was on that train too, but I don't know if Larry Boa will physically make it through the season. The guy's like in his 90s now or something. I don't know if he could make it, but somebody along those lines. The built-in excuse will be Harper was hurt. There's enough talent on this team to win when Harper's hurt. You're 100% right, but it's the same type of talent. Oh, good stuff, man. You guys are going on it tonight, man. I want to hear it. Let me have it. All right, let's pause there. Let's go to our Bar Street bottom line. That's right. The Broad Street Bottom Line is sponsored tonight by the fine makers of the Down on the Phillies Farm segment, brought to you by the It's a Wrap Sports Company or It's a Wrap Sports Network. We do the Down on the Phillies Farm segment on every Sunday edition of the Fighting's Final. So tomorrow, once we hit the airwaves and go over, hopefully a Phillies win, we will discuss the Haps in the Phillies minor league system. I'll take you through every level of our minor league system, and we'll have some fun with that. So make sure you're tuned in on every Sunday episode of the Fighting's Final. All right, so my Broad Street bottom line is I already told you guys what it was. Tonight's game was the Phillies season in a nutshell. And if you're zooming in from another planet, or if you're new to the Philadelphia area, or if you're new to baseball and you're trying to get spun up on what is what, all you got to do when trying to figure out the Phillies is watch this game, because it sums up the Phillies season very, very neatly. You had a starting pitcher that was dominant at times, but largely not. You had an offense that came out and showed you some fire early, but then faded. And you had a bullpen that just crumbled, and a manager that made some wrong decisions when he had to make the right ones. That, to me, is the Phillies season. And that's been the Phillies in 2025, 2024, 2023, and yes, even in 2022. So the Broad Street bottom line tonight for me, tonight's game is the Philly season, and has been the Philly seasons for the last few years. So hope you enjoyed that. It's a little bit more of an existential type of way to look at things tonight for me. Let's do some round the bases. All right, round the bases on this Saturday night. Games that are currently still ongoing is 6-3 Angels over the Diamondbacks in the bottom of the sixth. It is 2-2 A's and Blue Jays in the bottom of the fourth. Games that have gone done, complete. It was 5-40 Astros over the Rangers in 11 innings. It was 6-5 Brewers over the Nationals. It was the Mets winning 3-1. So, yes, I think the Mets are now a half a game ahead. For those of you that are still scoreboard watching or standings watching, I don't start that until officially after the All-Star game. It was the Guardians 6-2 over the White Sox. It was the Red Sox 1-0 over the Rays. Must have been a real exciting game to watch. 8 hits combined. 4-3 Reds over Rockies, and it was 2-1 the Dodgers over the Giants. Marlins blanked the O's 6-0, and the Braves beating the Cardinals 7-6. And finally, the last 3 games, where it was 12-4 Twins over the Pirates and 15-7 Marlins over the Tigers, and 5-2 Cubs over the Yankees. And there's your scores on this Saturday evening. The game before the All-Star break. And here we go. I want Ozzie Guillen's manager. There you go. That's something to look at. An Ozzie Guillen type, a Don Mattingly type, a player, a coach, or a manager from that era of baseball that has that. I at my time as a soldier, and I go to this a lot because I can relate. My teeth were cut, or I was trained as a young soldier by Vietnam War veterans, guys that served in the Nam era, and also, on a lesser extent, Gulf War veterans, guys who were in Desert Storm, right? So I was trained by very old school ways in the Army, but as I grew into a leader in the Army, it changed to this new school approach of being, pleasant and happy and all those things. So I've always liked to thought of myself as a hybrid type of soldier who was raised in the old, but, developed in the new. And it worked well. You're able to see both sides of the fence pretty clearly. And I know that Ozzie Guillen doesn't really fit that mold, but he did work with some of the younger athletes or the newer MLB players 20 years ago. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I want a guy who's grounded in that 80s and 90s baseball. I think that would go a long way with this team. And I don't know a positive way. You saw it didn't work out with Girardi. I get that, but it's not working out like this either. It's not. Something's got to change. And if we're not going to make multiple personnel moves, if the Phillies, and I'm not in favor of draining the system at all, I don't want them to touch the damn system. But if the Phillies are not going to say, I'm going to find a closer and actually make him a closer, I'm going to go find someone that can, maybe 2 guys that can fit into this lineup somehow. If they don't want to invest in that direction, then they got to fire the manager. They got to do something to change the status quo of this baseball team because it's not working. It is not working right now, and that's reality. And I'm sorry for all the homers out there that are swooning right now. It is just what it is, man. It's the reality of the situation. MLB Network said Harper's MVP with us and McCutcheon's MVP were two of the weakest. Jeez. They really said that? My Broad Street bottom line is the team reminds me of the movie Major League, and I think they need to fight themselves to possibly get some heart back into the team that has no heart or passion or dog. Where does that come from, though? Where does that lack of dog come from? It comes from the manager, right? I noticed the Red Sox are doing much better since getting rid of Devers and going with the young players. Yeah, I mean, it's been known to happen, Barbara. You know, players are moved that are teams do it all the time, but we don't. I don't get how much of Dave Dombrowski's pride is standing in the way here, right? How much are the moves that Dombrowski has done that have not worked, Marsh being one of them, how much is that getting in the way of the Phillies changing things? Yeah, I think that's a legitimate question too. Well, then Joey Cora, if fired from Boston or skips, yeah, there you go. There you go. Those guys are available. Let's do it. I would love that. 100%. And they are available. They are available. All right, Phillies lose 5-4. I've had enough fun for the night. I will be back tomorrow after the Phillies game for the final edition of the pre-All-Star game, Titans final. And probably while I'm on the air, we can also recap some of the happenings in the first round of the MLB draft. I will not be covering it separately, but maybe we extend the Titans final a little longer and we start talking draft, as the MLB draft will commence tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Phillies are picking 26th in the first round. Round 1 through 3 is tomorrow, and rounds 4 through 20 are on Monday. So maybe we'll talk some Phillies draft tomorrow if we catch it at the right wave. But I will be back tomorrow night at some point to bring you the Titans final. And we'll get into the All-Star break. Be on the lookout for a Phillies mid-season review show at some point this coming week, as well as our Flyers season-end review show that we have not done yet, somewhere this week, as we need to fill in some time because of no post games. So you guys make sure you're checking back regularly and just be looking to see. I disagree. Good night. Thank you. And thank you very much. So please check back tomorrow. Tomorrow morning at 9 is the PM and the AM program, and then all the other greatness that will happen on the busy Sunday tomorrow. You got the Phillies wrapping up the first half, technically, and you got the MLB draft. Huge happenings. So we'll try to get that information to you. So until we talk again, that's right. It's a Phillies loss. I can't play Harry. I can't go to Harry. Oh wow, that's depressing. We'll talk later tomorrow. You guys have a good rest of your night.